My voice is so sultry and deep.
It's recording deep.
Do we need to turn off the air conditioner?
Probably, I don't know. Should we?
I don't know.
Well, if you turn off the air conditioner, I'm taking off shirts and pants.
It's about to get hot up in this bitch.
All right.
That's how it works in this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Rules are rules are rules.
I feel so much hotter already. Actually, this is working out well into our tradition of we always start the podcast midway through a conversation that we're having.
Yep.
Yes, commercial break is in progress.
Commercial break on
For the Cubs game.
the Cubs game.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Upon Us Amongst the Rickest Rick and Morty podcast. My name is Bryan, and with me, as always, is Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
All right. I'm here. I showed up.
I know, and you're in person, too.
I know. This is crazy. We're sitting together.
Yeah, we don't
First
have
time for this.
We don't have to split shit together. And it's kind of funny because we are in the Dave Cave. So with us today is Dave, who's also on It's All Good Man and the Nothing Important podcast. Dave,
The
say
long
hello.
teased Dave.
That's right. I'm mostly just here to keep you guys updated on the Cubs game. It is currently 13-9 in favor of the Cubs. The break between the 7th and 8th innings.
That's right, because you're not even really a Rick and Morty fan, are you?
I'm getting there.
Yeah?
It's kind of winning me over.
So how many episodes have you think you've seen thus far?
That might have been my 9th one.
9th out of 3 seasons. Very
Something
nice.
Like that, yeah.
Very, very nice.
It more or less happens to me.
More or less happens
I
to you?
don't go seeking it. It happens to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. So after who knows how many goddamn months, we are finally, after people emailing and tweeting and actually confronting me at a bar and at one of Dave's band's performances.
Thank you for doing that, by the way, whoever that was.
Yeah. Confronting us about not recording our thoughts on the finale, and I guess we don't even really have a reason. We just kind of never got around to it, and then life kind of took over, right?
It finds a way.
It finds a way.
Life finds a way.
But it's a good time to get back into this and make an episode for you all, especially since...
Speaking of which, that same person just told me how bad Jurassic World 2 is.
How bad Jurassic World 2 is?
Yeah, like, he hated the Jurassic World, and I was like, why? He's like, wife.
Nice. That's legitimate concern.
You know you're hating it going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's the perfect time to get into it because it's been announced as of a couple of weeks ago that Rick and Morty has actually been picked up for 70 fucking episodes.
Yeah, 7 whole seasons. So that way they can do the Rick and Morty 100 that was all teased at the very first episode.
Right. I would have loved to been in the room and how they negotiated that. Because that's a big order.
Yeah, and that, well, according to all of the Twitters and Facebooks and whatever else, it was all on Adult Swim and Turner Entertainment. It wasn't Justin and Dan that were holding it up at all.
Why do you think they would have held it up?
Oh, I don't know. Just because they were wanting actual orders. And they wanted a timeline probably instead of waiting, years in between seasons.
Gotcha.
I would guess that would probably have something to do with it.
Right, but you think they would have you think it took the season 3 was such a success at one point, or like when it ended, it was actually the highest rated and highest watched comedy show on TV, finally beating out The Big Bang Theory. So you would think that the powers that be would have jumped on that like way before now.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they were also pretty pissed off at the fact that it took 3 years between 2 and 3 to show up, and then it also got truncated because they had more than the 10 planned because the season finale has it was supposed to be, I guess, a standalone episode, and then had season finale stuff mixed into it, so that way it could kind of be an end to the storyline.
Right. Maybe there's some sort of negotiation process that worked out really well because. Maybe the powers that be, like Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, were like, okay, so here's what we want. We want a ridiculous order so we can fulfill the promise of 10 seasons, 100 episodes of Rick and Morty.
And we super secret promise that we'll get it all done on time in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm. So let's hope
I'm sure in some universe that will actually happen.
That it will get done in a timely manner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. It'll keep me and Jeff entertained.
And Dave mildly entertained when it shows up.
Yes.
When he comes across this. So,
speaking of which, correction, it's still the 7th inning, 14-9, and the bases are loaded.
Nice. Thank you, Dave.
Great.
Cubs betting.
Thank you. Season 3, episode 10, the Rickchurian Mortydate. The description is Rick goes toe to toe with the president in this one, bro.
I was gonna say, you're talking about the negotiations. I was wondering if it went much like the negotiations happened in this show.
Explain.
Everybody dies.
Maybe.
Everybody in the room just gets straight murdered.
I could easily see that.
It's a suicide pact.
Yeah.
After they're done with all of the episodes.
Like we'll give you 90 episodes. Like, no, it's 100, and they just start, offing people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Ted Turner, we all know, is a crazy man, and even though he might not be involved with Adult Swim directly, he puts his stamp where it needs to be as like a corporate policy.
Right.
So murder is part of that.
The dude has to be crazy. His big dream is to be able to ride a horse from his ranch in Texas all the way to the Canadian border and never leave his own property. So.
Yeah. I mean, we see that whenever he shows up on Conan O'Brien.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That is absolutely what his
So he
plan
wants
is
to own the Louisiana Purchase.
Yes, pretty much.
Or at least a strip that's a horse wide.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, like, really, he could save money just at certain points buying, like, a trail, right?
I would think so.
Right? I mean, because how wide is a horse? Like, maybe like 4 or 5 feet wide? You get a trail that's like 6, 7 feet wide.
Or you could ride a tiny horse like Little Sebastian or something.
Like one of those little tiny miniature horses?
Yes.
Brian doesn't know about Little Sebastian. I was just trying to enlighten him the other day about it, actually.
R.I.P.
No, you showed me the song.
I did show you the song. Yeah.
You showed me the song, and plus I just thought Little Sebastian sounded funny, and through context I knew what Jeff was talking about.
But, I mean, so he could accomplish the dream by buying a highway, right? Or adopting a highway, maybe?
But if he adopts the highway, then the highway will always have these thoughts in the back of his head that maybe he's not loved as much as a real highway.
Yeah, like all the other highways are just a little more taken care of by the government.
Right, like I'm not even your real municipal thoroughfare. I bet you wish I was 6 lanes, just like your real highway.
He's always wondering what happened to the highway that actually birthed him.
Yeah, like,
Dot. It's his mom.
Right.
The Department of Transportation.
All right, so the show opens up. So stupid already. All right, so the show opens up. There's like a little security guard there, huh?
I'm only here to derail you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I don't need any help in.
If you've listened to the past 9 episodes, you know that we can do that just fine on our own.
Which I haven't done so.
So the opening scene where there's like a security guard kind of passively watching football.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that he's just saying, "Come on, football, go," because that is honestly how I feel. Like anytime somebody talks sports, like
Simpsons did it.
Did Simpsons do it?
Yeah, when Homer has the little foam finger and it says like "Go football" on it, sports, the sports pennants, and it just says sports on it.
Yeah,
just waving.
That's how I feel whenever anybody starts discussing sports. That's the only thing I have to contribute is like, yeah, go.
Here's the question:
Go team.
Is it football or American football?
Ooh.
Well,
it is World Cup time right now.
It is World Cup time. Without the boo-boo-zellas this time.
Yeah, the vuvuzela's.
Whatever.
Absolutely. Well, so that's how I feel, and I was just happy to see that because it's such a generic joke, but it really kind of hits home.
Mm-hmm.
Really
even football, bro?
Football.
Do you even football, bro?
Not very well, apparently. Then we see Rick and Morty playing Minecraft, and like Rick, I don't get Minecraft at all. It's basically like virtual Legos, correct?
The thing that kids play.
But it's like the biggest video game in the world. Well, it was up until Fortnite came out.
Yeah.
But previous to Fortnite.
Yeah, I don't fort or Minecraft or craft mines.
I don't mind forts.
You don't mind forts?
I don't craft knights.
Nice.
I baseball, bro.
Yeah.
I baseball.
So basically, the whole concept of the episode, it starts off that Rick and Morty are called in by the president to kill a Googa.
Yeah, and the president calls it a Googa. I made a note of this in the episode of Vindicators.
Mm-hmm.
Rick does note, what's that, 7 episodes before, something like that he could kill like 1 million Googas very easily.
Very nice. I kind of picked up on that because we literally just watched this before we started recording.
Yeah.
And I kind of picked up on that because as we were waiting for Dave to return with the microphones from his studio, Jeff showed up and we were watching the Vindicators episode. And then he did mention that, right? Killed him before the moment. So when they said that in the finale, I was like, oh, see, callback. See, Dave, if you would watch the show, you would understand these callbacks.
Deep cuts.
I know that there is some callbacks and things that, are referenced in later episodes and such. I've only caught a few because of my limited exposure to said episodes.
Well, the Googa, when you see it, is, if you've seen Stranger Things, looks awfully much like a Demogorgon.
I've not seen Stranger Things, so thanks for the spoiler.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
It's the basis of like the enther seasons. So
is that there's a Guga?
Well, they call it Demogorgon.
Guga is inspired by the Demogorgon. What'd you call it?
Yes.
Demogorgon?
Yes.
So it's like somewhat of a gorgon?
Yeah.
It's kind of. It's like half gorgon, half mortal.
It's from Dungeons and Dragons.
Isn't Medusa a gorgon?
Yeah.
Or is it a goron?
No, a goron are like the big brown people in Legend of Zelda that like eat rocks.
I think Medusa was a gorgon.
She may have
There's
been.
3 of them.
There's 3 gorgons.
Yeah. Then Perseus killed the one.
I don't know, Dave. I don't get.
They all had snakes for hair, and if you saw them, you would freeze. There wasn't. Just
I don't
one.
get your Iliad references, Dave.
More of a.
Speaking of callbacks, the show often likes to do callbacks. I would like to see an episode based on the Kennedy sex tunnels.
Absolutely.
Or the McKinley.
I wrote that down. What was it? McKinley hooker dump?
Yeah.
And the Lincoln Slave House?
You think they would be like
Lincoln Slave Coliseum.
Right? Oh, sorry. Slave Coliseum.
Coliseum.
He didn't free all of them.
Yes. They all weren't free.
You would think the McKinley hooker dump would probably be connected to the Kennedy sex tunnels, right?
I was wondering if they thought of that because of like Mount.
Right. You probably get there through the Nixon bowling alley that was installed into the White House.
Well, I mean, the sex tunnel had to come afterwards. It was probably just a rudimentary tunnel before President Kennedy actually connected it to the McKinley dump because, McKinley was around way before.
Right. So there was right, and they had to have access because I assume there was probably some sort of smell or something. And they had to clean it up, and they're like,
yeah, and of course it's secret and it's underground. I mean, but so there had to be access.
It's like when somebody kicks a hole in the wall of your house, and you just decide to put a fucking door there because it kind of makes sense that there'd be a door there,
or a monitor in front of it, or something.
Yeah, or a monitor or a couch underneath 2 identical guitars.
You think when he got the hookers, he would be like, "Get ready to mount McKinley"?
Whoa,
nice. Nice. Do you have a sound effect of a rim shot?
Wah wah wah.
Or you can do the womp womps as well.
So we then learn after the president calls, and then they go and find it, and it escapes into a small hole in the wall. That they're just sick of the crap that the president has them do.
Right. Like not even worth finishing the job, right?
Yeah.
Because he shot the Guga, and
it
just kind of went away.
Right.
And it's just over.
And Minecraft was more interesting, so they just went home.
Yeah, the weird thing about them going home is Rick states that he says something to the effect of like the president doesn't even know he's there, but Rick of all people I would think would know that there'd be like a satellite.
He was probably baiting him. That's how I took it. He was baiting him into a confrontation.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we did find out, like I was saying, it's all revolving around a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just Morty wants a selfie with the president because it's super cool because he's a star fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
right. And it's super cool for young people to work with the president for whatever reason.
Why didn't he just take a Yui?
What's a Yui?
The selfie of another person.
A what?
It's a picture of another person.
Oh, so a picture? I was trying to work out in my head. Like, I thought, like, maybe a Yui, if you took a selfie of another person, would be like you took a picture, like a selfie of yourself, but with that person in the background. So you kind of force them into it, even though you don't have to do the whole arm.
No, that would be a wee-wee.
A wee-wee. Nice. Okay, well.
Actually, that's another Parks and Rec joke, I think.
Oh.
One of the person. Can I take a Yui? It's
well,
what I call selfies of other people.
Well, for all intents and purposes, we're just going to go ahead and claim that joke as our own. I like that the president's monitored them. Kind of really aggravated that they kind of skipped out on the whole Guga thing to go play Minecraft. And he gives a speech where timing is right to call him out on it, and his way of calling him out is you dicks. Like he calls them dicks. Right. I can't think
which is always a funny term.
Well,
right. Call somebody.
And that's his actual name.
Who?
Rick.
Oh, because Richard and Dix.
Yeah, usually Dick is.
But Morty's not a Dick. Morty's a Morty.
Yeah, he's a Morty.
Or Mortimer.
Mortimer.
I like to call him Timmer.
It's funny.
Who invited this guy?
Okay, so you're saying that you thought that this was baiting, the fact that they were watching via the spy satellites and all that.
Dave thinks it was baiting. I thought it was just oversight. That how could Rick not know that?
Well, it seems throughout the episode as it evolves and all of the secret president shit comes up, and the fight that eventually ensues and all that, that Rick is unaware actually of what the United States government has secret. Their miniaturization piece, he made fun of it, but he didn't know about it necessarily.
It was still new to him.
He was kind of surprised that they shrunk by pills, but he knew about the ghetto ass deficit tripling portal machine that the government has.
That's just a shot in the dark.
Or did he just find that out when they teleported to it, used it to get to Brazil?
Touche. All right.
There's a Brazilian options.
Yeah, because at the end when we're talking about the Invisi-soldiers, he says that he could see them, or was he just being an ass?
I think a lot of that is just being an ass and just be like, oh, I knew it was there the whole time.
Just being an asshole for sake of being an asshole.
Yeah.
I like that the president is so shitty that he's just basically one-upped by Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Like his ego's so big, he's just kind of because he's the leader of the free world, and Rick is completely 100% unimpressed by everything.
Well, always, yeah,
so shitty about it.
It's almost like the president that we have now.
But then he goes and does this thing that aggravates. The shit on me about every movie is why do people have to just walk off and stare out the window? I've never in real life seen anybody so upset or despondent that they just kind of cross their arms behind their back and go look randomly into the distance through a window.
It's called contemplating.
Yeah, you've never done that? I've actually done that in real life.
Self-reflection?
Yeah.
Not what? Yeah, like maybe if you're sitting there. I've never made it a point to walk across the room and just look out into the distance on the window.
I can say I've never worked in an office building, but I've been in like apartments, high-rise apartments and stuff in the city. I can totally see myself doing that. Like if the view is cool, yeah, you just walk up to the window and like, the world is so small, man. You ever been at the top of the Willis Sears Tower?
Yes.
The Willis?
The Willis Sears? The Willis Tower.
The Chicago people, it will never be the Willis Tower. It will always be the Sears Tower.
Still Comiskey Park, and it's still the Sears Tower.
That's right. Thank you, Dave. It's good. Finally somebody had to say it. That's
and
good.
It's still the World Music Theater.
That's right. And I'm glad that we finally put it out there for the dozens of people that listen to A Humbus Among Us.
But yeah, no, seriously, I've actually done that. It's something tranquil and calming.
All right.
About looking out upon
All
God's
right, fair
creation.
enough. I guess I'm just saying I never witnessed it or done it myself.
Well, now you have a new song to do it to, Prisoner to My Emotions, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, by Tracy Jenkins and the Jenkinettes.
Yes. And you said you found that, right?
Yeah, a quick Google search led me to 2 YouTube videos of said song. One had Rick and Morty clips, and I think one was just a still photo, but the caption was Prisoner of Emotions. Now, the song's called Prisoner to My Emotions on the show. But they call it Prisoner of Emotions or whatever we called it.
So, like, what I liked about that is as we were watching it, as we were watching it, you were all excited because you found out that it was a real song.
Yeah.
And then seconds later,
probably not.
You read the in parentheses and it said, or whatever we decided to call it. And I like to think that somewhere out there is really that band with that song.
I hope so. I hope that they're just funny. I didn't listen to the whole track. Maybe should have before we talked, but no, we were in a hurry.
Yeah, they kind of do that a lot though in the show. There's a lot of songs that sometimes you can't tell if they're real. Like sometimes they're really obvious, like the stupid Terry Folds song.
Well, that's a real song. It's got a whole full song that only played partial during the episode.
That's true. Okay, but that was made by the creators, right?
Yes,
like it's a real song,
right? And
in the same way that,
and they have a band that they make a lot of those songs with.
Is it Tracy Jenkins and the Jenkinettes?
It is not, but Tracy Jenkins and Jenkinettes sounded spectacularly like. It's a repeated word. I forget what the name of the band is that does a lot of the songs that are in
Big
episodes.
Country.
That's
the trifecta.
Right,
right.
In a Big Country by Big Country on the album Big Country. Right. Yes. Yeah.
I like when it cut to Summer and Beth is being the cool mom and letting Summer buy risque teenage clothes. There's that whole thing where Beth tells her, you're like a different person and all that. But what I caught out of that was Dave made a comment, you can turn the closed captions off. But I like watching the closed captions because like one, I have like half hearing, and two, you can kind of catch things.
Yeah.
And during that scene, it cracked me up because there was an overhead voice that was just super redundant, and it was Marple's clothing store. There's a clothing sale in the clothing department. And I think part of the great humor of the show is that while they obviously put a lot of thought in everything that they do, there's a lot of jacking around in the video booth or in the audio booth. So I could just imagine like Dan Harmon just talking about like random stores and like just goes with the total redundancy of Marvel's clothing. There's a clothing sale in the clothing department.
And you can tell Justin does that a lot. Reference to Vindicator, since we just watched that again for the PA voice.
Yeah.
Like that was trying to be off the cuff and then just, shit, I screwed that up.
Right.
So I got to get out of it.
I like to think the exact process is, that's so stupid, we have to keep that in there.
Yes.
Like, that's so dumb, we have to make that work.
Similar to our process on all of the Nothing Important family shows.
And just about every project we've done for the past 20 years, whether it be bands or podcasts, that's pretty much.
Just keep it in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading. I'm doing more research into this Tracy Jenkins and the Jenkinettes because, for one, it's Jenkins Kins, but the Jenkinettes are Kenetts.
Oh.
So they spell. And then someone says in the comments, the song is available for purchase. The copyright is given to 2017 Smoosh Music LLC. So this could be Chaos under a fake name.
Chaos, that's the band. That's what I was thinking.
Chaos?
Yes.
All right, so that's their band?
They do a lot of the music that's in the shows.
Gotcha.
So
throughout all the seasons.
The label is Smoosh, which is obviously a reference I don't get. You guys probably get that, though, huh?
I don't get it at all.
Just another funny sounding word they use, like plumbus and...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of like silly jokes and stuff like that, Rick and Morty, they portal into Brazil, and when they're threatened with the army, like announce that the death toll could be in the Brazilians. Yeah, so great, great.
It's a pun
and a threat. It's a pun and a threat. Such a great dad joke.
I like dad joke.
Way to pick it up and run with it, Dave.
Hey.
Dynamite drop in, Donnie.
Quick animation note there, because I always pick up. I don't know why I see like these weird little details when the little army disbands or whatever, and the Jeep drives off. There's tracks on the ground, but none of those are tracks that the Jeep made.
Ooh.
The Jeep just drives over everything. It doesn't make a single track. Which is
interesting.
Why it stands out to me is because, especially in this show, like Summer gets her hair messed up and like her bang will pop out of like like where they placed it, and then for the rest of the episode, like the attention to detail on the bang will be there and move until she like tucks it back behind her ear, stuff like that. Just like little animation details. I'm surprised that they didn't catch that.
Well, maybe it was the throw together piece that we talked about earlier for trying to just get the episode up.
Or maybe this is sort of a Last Jedi type situation. If you notice in the final battle, Luke's feet don't
Spoiler
make any
alerts for a movie from a year ago.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah, spoiler alerts. It's 7 months later. His feet never make the prints, so that's your clue that he's a projection.
So you're saying the Jeep is a projection?
So they could have consciously put that in there, and it could be like a projection because they do have invisible soldiers.
Well, let's also realize that this episode came out well before The Last Jedi did. It's been that long.
No, I'm not saying they stole the idea.
It's been that long.
I'm not saying they stole the idea. I'm just drawing an analogy.
No, I'm saying Star Wars stole that idea from Rick and Morty.
Right. That's where I think it should have been framed as.
Very specific 2-second scene of the Jeep driving away,
right.
not
and they're
making
like,
tracks.
That's how we can throw in Easter eggs.
That's it. That's the connection.
Yes.
That's to pull a quote from Who Framed Roger Rabbit for some reason, but that's it. That's the connection.
The sand will not turn red.
Mm-hmm. And what's the deal with that? Like, that's how you know he's a bad guy?
That's how you know he's a projection. Because whenever you touch the sand, it turns red.
Oh.
But his feet don't make the sand turn red. Well, everybody else's does, so he's not really there.
Gotcha. Does it explain that in the movie? Or
no, I had to watch one of those stupid fan, things you may not have noticed.
Right, and
watch
always,
Mojo thing or something.
Yeah, it's always like 10 facts you didn't know about this movie, and then the thumbnail picture will be like somebody jumping off a cliff, and then there'll be like a circle with an arrow pointing to like a lamp post.
Right,
and you're like, oh shit, what about the lamp post? And then
they don't
it doesn't mean anything.
That.
Like it's just like fun fact. It was like 10 degrees hotter than the average day when they filmed that scene.
The screenshot hardly ever matches the actual video. Much like a Rick and Morty episode.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? That's not true at all. I like when the president shrinks himself using pills. Gets nothing but ridicule.
Yeah, well, it's because he was, going by that 1950s type.
1970s shrinking method, party of one.
Yes, 70s shrinking method. The real tiny, that his clothes don't even shrink.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's just got to be
I like how astounded
the whole time.
Morty's all, the shit talks. He's like, what, your clothes don't even shrink when you shrink? Kind of mattered.
Morty keeps getting more and more
assertive.
Yeah, assertive and abrasive as the series goes on.
Yeah, well, I think especially since season 1, the character growth.
Mm-hmm.
He is a lot more confident than he was, especially at the beginning, and he's seen a lot of shit too.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen a lot of shit, so it's kind of he's becoming
turning into a Rick.
Yeah, he's becoming just as disengaged with real life and expectations as Rick is, and Rick's also teaching him that same stuff though.
Yeah, he's totally he is going to be a Rick.
I did notate the "you suck" exchange. Morty tells the president he sucks, and the president fires back with "you suck."
Mm-hmm.
Always classic.
Yeah,
so immature and stupid. It's it brought a chuckle from me.
That's the kind of humor that's drawing me into the show. Dicks.
And I like how it turns out that Rick is actually afraid of pirates.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Because there was the Sanchezium, and he's like,
Right.
I made it up, you idiots. And then, but
don't believe everything you read on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like, so he's not really afraid of pirates.
So that also tells you that the intelligence community of the United States government
he
revolved around
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, self-editing Wikipedia pages, and looked up a page on Rick Sanchez.
And actually, I was thinking as I was watching that now makes two things that freaks Rick out, right? Because obviously pirates.
Ricks is plural. There's an infinite number.
That
of
is
them.
true, right? So pirates, and he's also extremely afraid of things on a cob.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. What other things come on a cob?
Well, it depends on what planet you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But if it's on a cob, they can't be there.
I'm sure there's a planet of ears of corn with humans on the cob.
Everything on a cob.
The whole planet was on a cob.
The whole planet was
nice.
on a cob, and they had to leave, even though it was one of the few remaining planets closest to their Earth.
Correct.
Right.
Everything was on a cob, including like crows and mountains, and everything was on a cob. And Rick freaked out because he couldn't handle it, so he had to leave because the whole damn world was on a cob. Yeah, which is very unsettling.
Oh yeah, just the look of everything like that. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
I don't trust cobs.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's a fear, a human fear that some people have. That like if you see a lotus pod and it's got the holes in it.
Yeah.
That people take and they project over skin and make it look
that.
like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be
Like a
developing
bot fly infection.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of have that. I get a little queasy when I see certain things like patterns like that.
Like lotus pods.
Yeah, or there's a flower or another kind of plant that has it, and like the skin thing, and just anything with that particular kind of pattern.
If that wears you out, look up a video of like a Sumatran toad giving birth.
They call them on the back?
Yeah, they haul them on the back, and their little tadpoles pop out of their skin.
I will not, sir.
They incubate the eggs.
I will not, sir. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's already in your head, so
I've already looked up the botfly infection. I'm already grossed the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. Now, just think about living tadpoles coming out of a frog's back, and
actually, that's not so bad because that's a birth.
Not until you see.
Yeah, it's like gremlins. That's how gremlins give birth.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of the back.
Yeah, when you get a mogwai wet.
Yeah, they'll pop out of his back like popcorn.
But not in mass, not like hundreds.
It's like gremlins on a cob.
Well, I mean, how many
gremlins on a cob?
how many
Pirate gremlins on a cob? Oh my god!
How many gremlins how many mogwai came out of Gizmo? I mean, it was probably like 8.
It was like
8 or 9.
One drop of water, and it was. It was 6. At least half a dozen.
Yeah,
6 of one.
Not to get even more off topic, but in 10 words or less, what decides what becomes a gremlin and what stays as a mogwai?
Eating food after midnight. How many words is that?
But like every day is eating food after midnight, right?
Exactly, depending on your time zone. But that's what turns them into a gremlin. The water makes them reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
The light kills them, and the eating food after midnight turns them into a gremlin.
Yes.
Mm. So what happens at like 9 a.m.?
Remember they raided the chicken wings?
No.
He forgot what time it was. They broke his clock. I just watched it like 2 weeks ago. And I had a conversation with one of the voice actors that voiced many of the gremlins.
Who may come on Nothing Important.
Yes, yeah, we're working on that.
Okay.
So they broke his clock. Spike, the leader, I think one of them broke the clock so he'd lose track of time.
Mm-hmm.
Then he forgot to feed him one day, and he looks at the clock, and goes, "Oh, it's only 10 p.m." Because if I'm warned not to do something, I always wait till the last minute to do it because I know it's still safe.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at 10, he decides I'm going to give him.
This is like good practice, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I got 2 hours to spare. I'll give him some chicken wings." And then he's like, "Oh no, it's 2 a.m. and it's after midnight," and they all turn into gremlins. And then when the gremlins get thrown in the pool, is when they have gremlins producing en masse.
Right.
So if a gremlin eats after midnight, do they turn into mice?
I think it's a one-way type of street.
Yeah, it's like a one.
Gotcha. So like once you cross the bridge, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotcha. Okay.
Because they give birth to other gremlins.
Fair enough.
That.
Okay. All right, back at Rick and Morty. President's trying to park, and he's being like flagged in by the parking attendant.
Yeah, because he's shrinking down so he can go to this tiny world that was discovered in the middle of Brazil.
Right.
That launched nuclear. Well, not nuclear. We don't know that. That launched missiles at people who discovered it. So he's trying to go in there as a peace to have a peace treaty or peace summit.
Right, and as which they actually referenced. That's funny because at the beginning of the episode, he walks when Morty originally asked for a selfie. He says he's too busy, and he walks off. And he's like, "Tell me about the summit. Is it a peace one or a regular one?"
Right.
So I guess that connects that.
Yes.
I just put that together.
Well, summit's the top of the mountain, Mount McKinley Hooker Dump.
Nice.
Free association.
Well done, bravo. Feel free to insult. Feel free to insert a polite clap sound effect right there for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 points on that one.
All right, thank you.
There you go.
We're bringing the point system back
system
now.
coming to.
I think that was
Columbus among us.
well-deserved. I thought that was
I
well-deserved.
just said we never had a point system on the show.
Just free associate all over the mustache.
Yes. Was the parking attendant, was that the voice of Bender? Like Joe DiMaggio?
DiMaggio?
I don't know.
Right?
I didn't
John
pick up on
DiMaggio.
that.
Pull forward.
Joe DiMaggio is the baseball player.
Right.
John DiMaggio is the voice actor.
Yeah, remember, Jolt and Joe left and gone away.
Mm-hmm. I don't.
We want him on our side.
That's right.
I don't get your references.
From Mrs. Robinson.
Nice. Okay. Like the song?
Mine was from
Yeah,
the
there's-
Jolt and Joe DiMaggio song that was like came out around when he was a baseball player.
20s? I never heard that.
By Melissa Jenkins and the Jenkinettes.
Possibly.
Tracy.
Possibly.
Tracy.
Well, no, Melissa probably.
No,
it
Melissa
had to be
was-
Tracy's grandma or
No,
something.
but Melissa was the sister. Melissa was the sister who held the same interests, but like also harbored some resentment because she wasn't as successful as her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like she got the opening slot for all the big shows that they did at the
Like
arena.
the fourth Hanson.
Yeah, exactly. like the fourth Hanson.
Jim Hansen.
Or the, no, Andy. Jim Hanson. Also, Andy Gibb.
Exactly.
You know, there's the Bee Gees, and then Andy was just like, hey, I'm over here. And then he had a drug overdose and died.
Exactly.
Story told is oldest time.
Yeah.
He's probably a doctor.
Till all this time. I do like the Madam Presidentress of the Mega Gargantuans informs her that they struck a peace accord, gives the shirt to the president, and he doesn't get any pants because he likes swinging his dick around,
Yes.
which is awesome in itself. But then it's actually kind of physically illustrated because as the president re-expands to his current size and the shirt becomes a halter top, he's awfully cavalier without.
Yes.
Hey, he's the president.
Right.
That's what he does is he swings his dick around.
Right.
So
There's a reason the penis is called the Johnson, Bryan.
Explain.
President Johnson.
Is that the president's name?
Lyndon.
we
Lyndon
did have a
Johnson.
president. We've had
We had a
two
president.
That's true. We did have
We
a
had a
president.
president named
we've had a
Johnson
couple
that loved
presidents.
swinging his huge cock around.
That's right. Yeah.
He would actively pee on Secret Service agents if he was at a place where there was no bathroom. He would just have one of them stand in front of him and pee on their legs.
Yeah.
He supposedly was quite well endowed though.
Fucker wasn't even elected president.
He called his dick Jumbo or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Back when America was great the first time.
That's right.
We're working on getting it there again. Working on there and getting it there
I
again.
thought the first time was like in the 1780s.
It was okay. It was decent. I mean, like comparatively, because like you had the whole French Revolution and stuff like that. So I mean, like comparatively, it was decent, right? Right? Like so, like back then, it was like make America decent.
Well,
Like,
Make a few upgrades to America.
back in the 17th.
Like America, we can do better, but we're doing pretty okay.
Well, in 1783, when the Constitution was ratified, but we had America before that under the Articles of Confederation.
Right.
So yes, we actively did think, hey, we could probably do better.
Mhm,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Make America suck a bit less.
Yeah.
And then Canada tried to burn down the White House.
This is such an educational show
This
right now,
is,
by
yeah,
the way.
yeah.
Yeah, you bring me
just saying.
on, and we start getting
This
political.
is probably the most Rick and Morty specific show we've ever done.
Note about the president's T-shirt.
Hmm.
I loved that it was an airbrush T-shirt.
Of course. Like
That
so,
was-
he obviously visited like a boardwalk at some beachside town.
Exactly.
Right.
To get that done and got it in like a child's large
Right.
or an extra medium or
Mhm.
whatever that size was.
Extra
So that way
medium.
when he grew up, it became almost a halter top. I just thought that was an excellent detail.
It's good planning.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't they say it would grow with him?
No.
Or he would grow into it?
He'd grow into it.
Oh, he'd grow into it.
And
then it was too small. Yeah. But yeah, very cavalier about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Back to your original point.
He gave he was not self-conscious about his manhood at all.
Mm-mm.
Not at
not like the last 5 presidents we've had.
And he's got clothes at the Pentagon, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh. And I do love that he thinks that the main motivation for Rick and Morty striking a peace accord is just because they're assholes.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Then they gifted him too, right? Like they gave him like 100% approval rating because they're assholes.
Well, wasn't the peace accord? What was it called? It's obvious when you think about it. Treaty?
Right. Pretty obvious when you think about it.
Right.
Treaty. Yeah. But then they just
Which
went around.
ties in nicely with the Vindicators episode once again when they were talking about the Middle East. And apparently Rick gets blackout drunk and goes on tangents about Israel.
Not like anti-Semitic rants, just to point out.
Right.
Just rants about the geopolitical situation.
Right. Exactly. So like it's a good. I don't even know if that's a roundabout callback, but that's a pretty good callback now that I think about it.
I know we just watched the episode right before we watched this one.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a lot of a connection to what is, by their own accord, their crappiest episode of the season.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
almost genius when you think about it.
Yeah.
I like. So then we move on, and the president's trying to catch up with Rick and Morty, and the one place that they can be that the government can't find them, plural, is in the Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
And my takeaway from that was I love the animation detail of when the president starts speaking to Rick and Rick starts explaining why they're there and such. He's eating a bowl of chips, and then he sets the chips on the couch and then rubs the grease from his chips on the couch before he stands up. And
that's a Rick James level of insult right there,
right?
My
like,
friend.
Just a total like. And the beauty of it is too, you can kind of play it off as if you weren't even thinking at the moment. You're just like, oh, I got.
That's just your normal habit at home,
right? Yeah, like just all over the chip grease, all over the.
For those of you listening at home, we had to kill the air conditioner in here. It is one of the hottest days of the year, and when Bryan was demonstrating that, he wiped his brow and then wiped my couch.
I'm just art imitating
life imitating art.
Life imitating art.
Right.
Exactly.
No chips for you, my friend.
That's okay. I got my sweat I could weep
Like
out.
you could make this house any dirtier. You probably just cleaned it.
We see Beth. She kind of goes to Jerry's bachelor pad apartment type dealie to try to figure out if she is or is not a clone, which I don't think Dave has any reference on, but there was a whole ABC's of Beth starring David Cross.
Yeah. Just the episode previous.
Yeah, just the episode.
Wait, I've seen the David Cross episode.
No, are you talking about the season?
Yeah, probably.
What? Where with the Inception almost, the simulation in a simulation in a simulation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
he comes back
Different
later as a whole different character and such, but...
So is she a clone then? Or is this like a Sixth Day type situation? Spoiler alert for a movie that came out 15 years ago.
I think it's supposed to be left in
he finds out at the end he was the clone the whole time.
Mind blown.
It was actually pretty cool twist.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, I think it's worth noting if we're talking about the episode. Yeah, earlier, Beth starts to freak out when she's talking to Summer, and Summer says, you're different, basically. And I can only stand you for an hour. That really triggers something in Beth to self-reflect, stare out a window, play some music, but only she stared into a mirror this time.
Listen to the Prisoner of Emotions or whatever they called it.
Yeah, probably in her head, though, because it was, there was other music in the background. But to think about the fact that, yeah, Rick totally does have the capability to clone and just murder whatever he wants.
Right.
In order to keep things just, so that way he doesn't have to deal with shit.
Right.
So she started thinking about that and just became ultra paranoid, especially when Rick didn't necessarily, or he totally denied that she's a clone, but she knows the way Rick thinks. So that made her extra paranoid because of course he would say that. Of course he would say that.
Right. He would say that because he doesn't want to have to deal with it. Right. Like it's just easier for him to like.
Why the existential crisis? Who cares if you're a clone or not? You still have the memories in the body.
You would have to see the episode for the reference. There's like a whole episode of why she is the way she is.
If I was a clone of myself and I didn't know it, I wouldn't care.
If I was a clone of myself, I would make out with myself.
It'd be hot.
I believe you've made pictures that illustrate that point.
I am. It was actually my Facebook profile for a while. I photoshopped myself making out with myself, which is awesome because, like, just for reference, I had to take a picture of myself in 2 different poses as if I was like on either side of said making out.
And also not use Photoshop because you didn't have it, but use Microsoft Paint.
Microsoft Paint. I am quite proficient in Microsoft Paint. Yes, absolutely. But that whole scene where, she's trying to figure it out, and the one person who she feels would know is Jerry, once again solidifies my stance. Jerry is just a nice guy. Right?
Yeah.
How romantic is that? He remembers all that shit. Everything down to the detail of what leg she had on top when she crossed her legs.
Well, I think that's the
Which is not Indian style
point
anymore, by the way. It's crisscross applesauce.
Oh, I thought it was just cross-legged.
No. It used to be Indian style. Now it's crisscross applesauce.
Indian style.
Or is that just a...
That's how I get my French fries at In-N-Out Burger, by the way.
Nailed it. That's another point. We'll get Dave 3. So dumb. But it's awesome. Okay.
But yeah, no, yes, Jerry is honestly just a nice, regular person. And he doesn't fit into this world at all.
No.
That everyone else just seems to accept all the craziness and all of the... craziness, insanity, whatever. I can't think of a better word. But just everyone else just accepts it and goes along with it and wants to be part of it, where he really doesn't want to be part of it. He just wants to be a regular dude that has a job and has a family and live their lives together and have a nice time.
Right, yeah. He's constantly befuddled, and then at the same time, there's absolutely no escape for him.
All of his intentions throughout the whole series, which makes him the regular guy, are the fact that all of it. Yeah, he's a regular guy. He just wants regular things. He doesn't want the interdimensional stuff. He doesn't want to transport here and there. He just wants to spend time with his family.
Right. Well, you always have to have contrast if you're going to have development in characters.
Which makes a good point, because we obviously talked about the previous episodes, but where he's dating the out of space alien chick.
Yeah.
And Morty and Summer basically bully him into admitting that he was a misogynist and a racist.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
But he really didn't say anything misogynistic or racist. They just kind of bullied him into saying that.
I think it was more inferential, and it wasn't necessarily in that episode.
Okay.
It was that was a long time ago we watched that episode.
Yeah, I know. That was a long time ago. But anyway.
So update. The game is over. The Cubs game is over.
Shit.
They won 14-9 to the tune of 20. The Cubs beat the Twins.
Who are they? Expound.
The Cubs.
Go Cubs, go.
Beat the Twins.
Okay.
14-9. They had 20 hits.
And
Albert Almora Jr., who left the game early, is now the NL's leading hitter after going 3 for 3.
So big ups to
some guy.
Albert
Big ups to some
Jr.
guy.
Albert
Almora
Jr.
Jr.
Albert
Almora
Jr. Okay. Albert Almora Jr.
Double AJ.
Yeah. Some Plumbus Among Us big ups to Albert. We're going to give Albert Amora Jr. 4 points. So he's currently leading Dave by 1, which is
he's currently leading the podcast.
Right, yeah. This is going to be his second big victory of the day. So that's good to see.
Good for him.
See, those are the kind of things Sports Center won't tell you.
Right.
But we hear at the Nothing Important.
We'll have to make a YouTube video about it.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And point to him hitting in a different game when they're playing the Cardinals.
Right. Show highlights from 5 months ago.
Exactly. So, a couple things about that. Back to the Jerry and Beth scene. One, I found it awesome that Jerry had that exact moment that he was talking about queued up for the volcano music. Right? I thought that was nice.
Also a movie I just watched recently.
Really?
So bad.
I like his
terrible movie.
His sheepish attempt at sounding cool. Vive la différence instead of Vive la France. Yeah.
And then like myself realized how lame it was as soon as he said it.
Right. That's what makes it awesome. Yeah. He had to pull it back.
Right. He did.
He threw it out there. He didn't get the response he liked.
You got to pull it back.
So what do? You can own it.
Right.
Which that would have been my personal attack.
Right.
You can also become self-referential about it, which lessens the impact of your lame joke. Or you can just let it sit out there too awkward.
Or you can double down and make another equally bad joke.
That's true.
Or worse.
Yes.
Or worse. But that's not even the first time in the series, did he? Because he also calls it he also says Buena venue chata de la divorced dad or something like that.
Yeah, he's not good at French.
Right.
He's not good at French.
Long story short, sucks at French.
Well, stop trying to appropriate cultures.
All right. So who's Don Cheadle?
Are you kidding me?
Don Cheadle?
Have you not seen Ocean's 11? The worst.
No, I have not fucking seen
the worst Cockney accent. He's on record saying that was a terrible decision. I should not.
Ocean's 11. 12 and 13.
Uh-huh.
He also plays Rhodey in all of the Iron Man and Avengers series, except for the first one.
Okay.
Which is, in my opinion, love Don Cheadle, superior actor in the first one, whose name escapes me right now. Terrence Howard is a better actor than Don Cheadle.
Well, I mean, I think the back and forth that he has with
Terrence Howard, is that Ron Howard's weird-looking brother?
Well, maybe
adopted.
He's definitely weird looking because they're different races.
Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that was a whole switch. That was a contract thing. There's a lack of continuity now that I don't dig. But it's just well, I mean,
now I refuse to watch
the Hulk.
movies.
Is totally a different person too, though. So I mean,
that's the third Hulk.
No, because
Oh, you mean
it is
just
debatable
in this current canon of MCU.
Correct, but there is an argument to be made that potentially the Ang Lee Hulk is like a prequel. Well, I mean, not a prequel. It came out first, and then the Incredible Hulk that is for the MCU actually does take place after that. There are places that argue that they are continuous.
Really,
but that's not the accepted canon.
Are they leaving out the Edward Norton one completely?
No, Edward Norton. That's the Incredible Hulk. That's the one that is canon.
Oh, okay.
Right. In the comic books, I believe that's actually like two different. Right. That's two different series. There's the Hulk, and then there's the Incredible Hulk.
Yes,
it's like how there's the Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man,
and then the Spectacular Spider-Man,
and the Spectacular.
And
then it's like how in DC Comics there's Superman, the Man of Steel, Action Comics, and then there's like one other one. So
Girth Comics, Girth Comics,
girthy. He is quite girthy.
Can I go on record and defend Ang Lee? I didn't think the Hulk was that bad.
He did punch a tank.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I like the comic panel presentation and stuff.
He jumped like 5 miles at a time.
And then it got really stupid at the end.
That's pretty dumb.
And then he goes and meets his dad at the bottom of the ocean. That was kind of stupid.
Anyway.
Yeah, so the president, good combatant, goes toe-to-toe with Rick.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Wait. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
where did Don Cheadle come from? And then, yes, he said Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle reference.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did you figure this out yet? Has it been helping you at all?
Hotel Rwanda? That's what I got out of it.
You don't know.
All you could have said it was he was an actor.
Hotel Rwanda, dude. I think you won a Grammy for that.
Okay.
A Grammy?
Grammy?
Oscar.
Okay. Okay, so he's an actor.
Maybe a Globe.
I get it.
Maybe Golden Globe.
Anyway, so the president and Rick have a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys laughed when there was two little kids that appeared. Mm-hmm. Is that a reference to something, or is it just funny?
Funny. Okay. I laughed at the dog whistle that made their pupils roll back, and then they turned
that like triggered them.
Assassins. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I thought because obviously you guys go back and forth about like movie references.
Yeah, not as specific.
It's very much a trope that
tropey.
Like the government has people trained.
Gotcha.
And then there's always a trigger of some type where they flip out.
I did like it when
who's gonna expect two little kids.
I did like it when Rick multiplied himself and started doing the cartwheels to avoid the bullets. Mm-hmm. Those two kids got mowed down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
After they were distracted by
grotesquely.
Candy.
Right.
Pretty bad. That's
okay. I just didn't know if I was missing anything there.
Didn't realize Rick was a child.
And there's another presidential secret reference in there. The McKinley storage warehouse.
Yeah, they bust out.
That's where all the sets are for the moon landing and all of the other stuff that has been faked.
Nice. That was a good fight scene.
Pretty good.
White House not built as sturdy as I would have thought.
3,800 bullets. I think it's pretty sturdy.
Well, that was just in the one room.
He had the counter.
That was just the one room.
Yeah, he just spin in a circle with a Gatling gun, and it's still standing.
Yeah. Okay. So
but a lot. I mean, I know that there were extra.
Canada couldn't burn the White House down in 1812.
Okay, so just
which they also didn't.
We kind of got lucky because the reason that we won the War of 1812. First off,
the French.
We pissed Canada off because we tried to attack Canada. We actually tried to annex part of Canada, and they're like, fuck yourselves, we're going to burn your shit down. But the second reason why we won is because there was actually a hurricane that caused a bunch of tornadoes that wiped out the British fleet and pushed back a bunch of the Canadians. So, just saying, God's on America.
Also, Canada, correct him on that? I don't even know where to start.
That is 100% accurate.
All those tornadoes that are caused by hurricanes.
Well, okay.
First off, I lived in Florida.
Tornadoes can be caused by hurricanes. Hurricanes are huge low depression.
And a lot of the damage in hurricanes is actually caused by the tornadoes that are caused by the hurricane winds in the storm wall.
It's the low pressure. It's the low pressure.
Okay, that's my bad.
Whatever. But the hurricane anyway. It's all related. That is most of the damage that's done in hurricanes is because of tornadoes caused by the hurricane.
But a hurricane was just a big tornado.
No, because if it was, it would be called the big watery tornado.
water spout.
But it's not. It's called that's something different entirely.
You're something different entirely.
Your face is different.
Also,
yes.
I don't know why anybody has to talk about this ever. Canada did not burn the White House down in the War of 1812.
I know our president said that. It didn't really.
The British did, in fact, light the White House on fire. The Madisons had to escape.
Right.
That's where
the picture,
and that's why it's the Dolly Madison Bakery. That's what I call the White House.
That's down the street.
Dolly Madison Bakery.
But yeah,
I just went with it. But either way.
Famously saved famously saved the portrait of George Washington.
Well, she did, which is just a replica of the original portrait anyway.
Which is kept in the McKinley storage.
Right. See, it all comes
it's all
full
in the
circle.
McKinley storage.
I'm just saying that weather.
Yeah, I should not have corrected you on things I didn't know knowledge about.
Well, it's good. I accept your apology. And maybe it was Canada that burnt the White House dressed as the British in revenge for us trying to annex Canada.
That's also a very, very good possibility.
Next.
Right? It's like, I'm just saying, it might be their version of the Tea Party.
And Mother Nature decided to bring in the French army to help us win the war, yes.
Right. Mother Nature was trying to have waves created to make the ships move faster to get here to help us.
Simultaneously bringing in the French. You guys correct me if I'm wrong about the French helping us win the war, but I'm pretty sure the French helped us win that war. So the waves brought in the French while just decimating the English.
Nature.
Just trying to make America livable again.
Well, you know what? Actually, so just to put it out there, Canada probably wasn't even a country at the time. It was a British territory. So therefore, probably British.
They're one and the same.
British.
They're all red coats
in Canada. In the territory.
Well, yeah, I don't remember my Canadian history that well because I don't know if it was still French. I mean, obviously, it's an English Commonwealth currently still, but I don't know how occupado it was at the time or what its allegiances were to.
I'm just saying it happened. It was history.
It did happen.
It was history.
And I actually have Canadian lineage, and I don't know shit.
Canadian lineage. Awesome. Okay. All right.
A bunch of fur trappers.
If it wasn't for Canada, my ancestors would be from somewhere else.
Okay. So back to Rick and Morty. Why did Morty think that Rick wouldn't find him in the cabin? Because he already been there before. So is it like when you look under a cushion for the remote?
You don't look again.
You don't look again. Is that what the whole thinking behind that was?
Try to outsmart him.
Did I miss a reference there?
I'm gonna go along with that logic. I don't. Basically it was like this would be the most obvious place we would go. Is the same place we went before. Right. So, yes. Yeah. So what you're saying, yes.
It's like watching a Bears game.
Okay.
In that, there was a series of coaches they seem to have when it'd be like 3rd and long, and you have to get a first down. You have to throw the ball 15 yards downfield. So to be sneaky, they would throw a screen pass. But everybody fucking knew they were going to do that because they were going to try to be sneaky, and then it's not a surprise because you're outthinking yourself. And Rick is too smart for that, which is why I think he was baiting the government early in the episode.
Oh.
Bring it back around.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, well done. Okay.
I'm going to give you guys a point for that.
I don't even have anything to contribute. I do like how the ghetto ass deficit tripling portal owned by the government has to be lit by a big lighter.
Yes, that was actually my favorite note of the whole thing, that there has to be a guy that walks up to it and sparks it.
And
pilot light.
Towards the end, I also enjoyed how the president just kind of accepts that there's a fly fishing Rick and he's not going to be an asshole.
Yeah, just gave up.
Well, I mean, I guess he felt, that he had some sort of victory there. So,
yeah, because of the lame story and just a costume that regular Rick put on.
You could tell by his fly fishing enthusiasm and his silly hat.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Which wasn't even his hat in the first place.
Maybe it's that president just done with that shit, or also he's completely oblivious, as it was pointed out earlier.
Or I was thinking either that, or just like, you know what? If you're gonna come at me with this, and we can just kind of squash it now. I'll pretend I believe you, and we can just move on.
Right. Just done with
it's
this
just
shit.
easier just to let it ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Call him out on it. Okay. Does Panda Express have sugar chicken? I know they're supposedly famous
orange
for their
chicken,
orange chicken,
but it's super, super sweet. Like all
Pretty
their
much-
food is super sweet.
Pretty much everything at Panda Express is covered in sugar in some way.
That's why it's so delicious. I love. Even their rice is like sweet.
Really?
Yeah. Very sugary.
The rice is made with corn.
Corn is sweet.
I made that up. I meant corn. I was going to say put
I was
corn
like, wait,
syrup
what?
in it.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
I think they just dip their entire restaurant in it and then ship it.
Okay. All right. So then as the episode closes.
But by the way, sorry. Just one more thing on that. That's not the best and only thing they have. It's not the only thing they have because I like their General Tso's chicken.
Which is pretty much orange chicken. It's just a different color. It's red.
It's a ripoff of the recipe if you've seen the documentary about searching for General Tso.
So. It's called So. General So.
That's part of the documentary. There's like 17 pronunciations for it.
It's General So.
Pronunciations.
I used to work my first job was at a Chinese restaurant owned by third generation Chinese. It's General So.
I've eaten more chicken or Chinese food than you've worked in restaurants.
I will accept that.
It's General Tso.
I will accept
General.
That. All right.
Tso.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Whoa.
So as we wrap this up, Rick basically goes to try to kill Jerry. Doesn't do it.
No.
Rick's unimpressed with everybody's shenanigans, and then the show ends.
It's like they're all above his thing now. Like they're all above his
right, because he's brought himself to the lowest status member of the family. Everybody kind of mocks him or throws it in his face a bit, and he's completely unimpressed.
Right, because if we remember at the beginning of the season, the whole thing was Rick's goal was to get Jerry out of the family so he could have his family back. You know? And they did, and convinced Beth to divorce him. And, he lived in his loser lifestyle, as the Wind noted multiple times.
Right.
But, yeah, ultimately it turns out that, he just couldn't fight that regular dude.
Yep. Couldn't defeat the Jerry, man.
Sometimes pacifism wins.
Exactly. Then we get the credits, and we finally get to catch up with Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Finally.
Has a family, little baby.
Yeah, we saw him get married at the end of the last season, and have that and have the baby actually. That was
What's
in
his
the photo
wife's
album.
maiden name? I'm curious.
I don't know, but I have to pee real quick. I'll be right back. Discuss amongst yourselves.
Are we?
Yes.
Are we keeping this in?
Yes.
Well, I'm not recording the final print. I will have to edit.
Okay.
So yeah, does she have what is his wife's name?
It doesn't come up.
So she's just random person.
She's of the same species as Mr. Poopy Butthole. Obviously.
Are they the species of poopy buttholes?
No,
that would basically mean my name is Dave Human.
No, well,
exactly
to your point. Mr. Poopy Butthole he's Mr. Poopy Butthole from whatever universe that he's in, and at the end of season 2, we get kind of a recap because he was unceremoniously shot by Beth.
Nice.
You haven't seen that episode?
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
No. The timeline divergence episode and the multiple Ricks theory, and are we following the original Rick? And lots of stuff. But yes, Beth shoots him. He has to go through recovery. He doesn't really want anything to do with the Smiths anymore because he was their best friend. He was the family's best friend. And
I'm back, by the way.
Great.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
He was the family's best friend, and Beth just didn't trust him after all the parasites created people. And he was just a good guy because they couldn't find any bad memories about him.
That's right.
So he went on and he had his life. He went through recovery. He had a little drug problem for a while, but he cleaned himself up. He found a wife. They had a kid. Yeah, it's really a happy story. I'm really happy that the butthole life is working out. Poopy butthole life.
How did Mr. Poopy Butthole not make it into the Rick and Morty porno? Mr. Meesex did.
And you have to ask Hollywood about that,
right?
Or the Valley.
Not outside of Hollywood.
I will say though,
my area.
It also comes around because at the end of season 2, after he got shot, he was like in the last scene of season 2 after the credits talking about how it was going to be like.
We just talked about this.
I was in the bathroom. All right. So anyway, season 3. What'd you think?
I thought it was all right.
Okay.
Parts of it very much lived up to the hype that it was there. Other parts of it fell flat, I would say, and so did Justin and Dan by their own admission. But I think they were able to at least kind of wrap it up in a way, right. And they really did plant some seeds for stuff to be in continuity in the future. So I look forward to seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whenever the hell they come out. Hopefully my son isn't like 8 by the time the next season comes out.
All right. And Dave?
I don't know. I only saw one episode.
Perfect. Okay, so So anyway, hopefully we find out soon about Rick and Morty season 4. If not, in the meantime, Jeff and I will try to get together and talk about past episodes.
Maybe we'll throw Dave in there too.
Maybe we'll throw Dave in there too. You can find us three on the Nothing Important podcast, where we talk to famous people or just shoot the shit with each other. And coming up, the return of It's All Good, Man.
Oh, yeah.
The Better Call Saul podcast.
Season 4 is on the cusp.
Season 4 starting August 6th. I've already started talking to the AMC rep, so hopefully we finally get Jonathan Banks. And
the way you said that, it almost sounded like you made that happen.
Yeah, I'll
it's
take
starting
credit.
August 6th. I've been talking to the rep.
Yeah, it's the thing I do. I felt it was about time.
Right.
I felt it was about time. I said, "Yo, call Bob."
Yeah.
Call
over,
Bob,
guys.
Ray Seahorn, get them all together.
And, they were thinking August 1, but I have a thing that
Right.
Sunday,
exactly.
so
Prior engagement.
I'll text Patrick Fabian.
Yeah.
Give him my ideas.
Exactly.
Maybe he could pass it on up the chain, and I'm sure that Peter Gould and them will listen to me. Yeah, exactly. So, in the meantime, make sure to follow us on Twitter. I don't even remember what the Twitter handle is.
Something on something.
Yep.
For this show, it's at A Plumbus Among Us. I am at Podcast Jeff.
I'm at Podhost Dave.
I'm at host Bryan. And thank you for listening to our ramblings. It's good to talk to you again. I know it's been a while.
I'm also not on Twitter.
Hopefully those of you worried about where we've been or anything like that, we kind of just got lazy, and we also had life changes and a bunch of stuff going on. But we'll be more frequent, especially as we're hitting prime time now with Better Call Saul.
It'll force us to actually have to interact with each other.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure to stay tuned to nothingimportantpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, all that good stuff. Search for us. We'll be there. And Jeff, those are some phenomenal cargo shorts.
Would you fuck about the movie?
Dude, it doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't have to.